excited about today's guest. He's one of my favorite people. He's a beast in the mortgage business at VIP Mortgage. He is currently ranked number eight in the Arizona market and number 5 in Maricopa County. And I would say number 3 amongst mortgage bankers in Maricopa County. Most importantly, he is an amazing husband and father, married to his high school best friend, one of his high school best friends. And he is a former Arizona State University Sun Devil, been in the mortgage business for 18 years. So without further ado, please welcome Stuart Crawford. Welcome everybody to Real Talk with Ryan Madrid. We are in the VIP Mortgage office right now, so thank you to VIP Mortgage for sponsoring the podcast. I have my sister Trisha and my nephew Trey in here managing the production. And the first thing I just wanted to talk about was the reason why we're doing this podcast. And we did it before it ended. Kind of didn't know the direction we really wanted to go in. And but I do want to recognize the people that helped the first time, because it was when I say my fault, it wasn't my fault. It was just my indecision of how I wanted to go with it. So Sydney Stempfley and Carol Taylor with marketing at VIP Mortgage, they did a really good job with social media and marketing the podcast in the first place. And then Skylar Irvine over at Rensler Media, they were unbelievable as far as the production was concerned and managing that for us. So I'm sure that we had plenty of people frustrated because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So recognizing them and letting them know that I appreciate it, thank you. We have moved the production into VIP Mortgage, like I said. So this is kind of where we're at now. Moving forward, the purpose is a little bit different than it was before, and I think we know what we're doing now. The direction we want to go is, not just focusing on realtors, not just focusing on LOs or title. We really want to focus on people, and the careers, the afterthought. Ultimately, we're going to be doing realtors and LOs, obviously, but we're gonna hit people that are doing development in the community, commercial stuff in the community, restaurants, bars. Nonprofit. We have somebody come up that's really got a cool story with nonprofit stuff. So that's where we're gonna go with this. And today, first guest of the new launch is somebody I think that we kind of helped each other move forward when we were both in a position where we kind of didn't know if we really even wanted to do this career anymore. And even though I was fairly new in the business, he had been in the business for a long time. So the reasons may have been a little bit different. I wasn't sure if I was going to survive or make it in the business. And I think he was just more along the lines of just sick of it. And I know that's the truth. So my guest is my business partner, Stuart Crawford, and he's not only my business partner, but one of my best friends. And I think that there's so much into our story that's really cool. So it goes along perfectly with the purpose of why we're doing this. So first off, hi Stu, how's it going, buddy?
Hi Ryan, how you doing? So honored to be the first guest on the reboot. Real Talk reboot, with Ryan Madrid, the maiden voyage. Let's do this.
I think this is actually this is good for us too, because it reinvigorates a little bit, and it's something new to go along with what we're currently doing. So, and I think we're gonna get some enthusiasm from friends, obviously, because my sister's been doing such a good job with the social media side of things. I've actually have to look at my social media and answer questions now. But it's funny. Like, I didn't know how many people would be like, "Hey man, can I get on the show?" or what's going on with it, or even just giving me a little bit of crap about the show. So anyways, let's dive in a little bit, like way obviously before you came to VIP Mortgage, and like what even brought you to Arizona? Where are you from? People don't know who you are. That's the truth. Like, he's like this like urban legend guy because he doesn't really go out into the world. Like, really, I mean, from like you started your career doing the same stuff that everybody does, but you've just built this business that business it's kind of helped just come to you because you do such a good job. So as far as like going out into broker opens, open houses, all that sort of stuff, it's just something you haven't done in a long time. So people know the name and they know the service is unbelievable, but they don't know who you are at all.
And the only reason they do is because of you.
Yeah, this is true. So go back to where you're from.
All right.
How it started.
So born in San Antonio, Texas, lived there for 10 years. And then in fourth grade, moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Finished school there. And then came out here to go to ASU. Looked at a couple of different campuses and, you only have to walk through ASU one time, go down Palm Walk, and you're like, hey, Dad, I think this is where I'm going.
Yeah, it's a great school. That's right.
Yeah, heard the business school.
But you came out here with some buddies, though, too, right?
Yeah, I was super fortunate. I mean, I grew up with awesome, close-knit brotherhood of guys that were all, to this day, super close and known each other since, elementary school, middle school. And a handful of us went to ASU together. So definitely made the transition from high school to college easy because I had a built-in crew, right? So, we had a lot of fun.
What did you have any idea what you were going to major in, what you wanted to do when you got there? You're just like, I'm going to go there and just start school and then figure it out like most people do.
No, I knew I wanted to be a stockbroker. So I decided, well, what is the degree that goes with that? Because there's not a stockbroker degree.
Did they call those financial advisors now?
I have no idea. I don't even know if stockbrokers exist. So I went for finance. So I went there to get a finance degree.
Okay. So you were a math guy?
Not at all. The ironic thing is I never liked math. In all of grade school, all the way through high school, college, couldn't stand math. Always had to find somebody to help me work through projects just because I just didn't have the patience for it. So, and then ironic that now I do math every day, all the time, which is funny.
With a mortgage calculator or whatever those things are
called.
The
HP 12C.
Yeah, HP
Platinum
12C.
version.
Yeah, that'll throw you for a loop. Especially somebody getting into the business that wasn't in the business way back.
Right.
Those things are.
I can't even use a normal calculator. It's scary.
So, how did you end up doing this then? Did you go into the stockbroker world or the financial advising world, and then went into the mortgage world?
No, never made it. So when I graduated college, that was right when the tech bubble burst, and I thought to myself, I looked way younger than I was. So I'm like, okay, here's this guy/kid that looks like he's 16 that's going to go try to convince guys twice my age to put money in a market where they just lost all their money. It didn't seem like it made a lot of sense. So I kind of pivoted direction and didn't know what I was going to do. And then my senior year of college, I needed to get a part-time job. So I literally opened up the ASU State Press, the school paper, and I had 3 parameters: fit with my school schedule, have something to do with business and finance, and not necessarily be full-time deal. So I opened it up and I found this ad for an assistant loan officer. Had no idea what that was. For a mortgage company. And this was kind of the first refi boom that sort of hit. So that was starting to go, right? They were everywhere. Mortgage companies were popping up left and right. So anyway, took this job, and that's that. I mean, there's more to that story, of course, as you know, but that's how I sort of got into the business by default.
And then you went to go work from there. Did you go right to Waterfield, or did you go?
No, so from that mortgage company, it was like a call center basically.
Okay.
So I would basically call off lead sheets and set appointments for loan officers to try to close, deals for people. So I did that for a while.
That's actually kind of a ballsy job for a kid in college, or
I'll tell you what, it was a great experience because I got good on the phones. I got good dealing with people, hearing no, right? All those things that are kind of good for someone to be molded into as far as sales is concerned. And, I started getting sort of a knack for it. So I was starting to set up a lot of appointments, and then I noticed that guys on the side were coming up to me saying, hey, I'll give you some cash on the side if you come in on a Saturday and just make calls for me. Okay. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm okay at this.
Yeah.
So, but it was no mortgage talk, right? I mean, I had like a few keywords, I'm sure, but I didn't know what I was talking about. Anyway, so left that job, ended up not liking it, wasn't feeling it. Went to a guy wanted me to help him build a call center, and I went to do that very briefly. And then he took me to a quote-unquote real mortgage company, and which is a big one in town that back in those days, and everybody would know who it was. And I started working there, and I don't think I lasted more than, 3 to 6 months, if that. And I quit. And I remember my dad's like, "Why are you leaving?" I said, "Dad, I don't know how to explain it, but this business is so unprofessional. It's so, lack of a better word, it felt sleazy, right? I didn't like my manager. Everybody was a yes man. It just felt weird. It wasn't. It didn't align with me. So I quit and kind of swore off the mortgage business. I was like, I'm never getting back into that deal. Now I'm going to go find my real job, right? And then to get to Waterfield. So as you know, I was sitting on a couch one morning at a friend's house, and that friend had a roommate, and they had a friend who was also sitting on the couch with me, who
which
barely
happened
knew,
to be my college roommate,
which is super weird. And he is a recruiter, right? A headhunter.
Yep.
And he goes, "Hey man, you gotta go do this interview at this company." And I said, "Is it a mortgage company?" He said, "Yes." I go, "I'm not going."
Shout out to Max Hansen.
Yeah, Max Hansen. Thank you, sir.
Scouts.
I think thank you. Let me think about that. So yeah, Max is a great guy, and so he's like, "You got to go take this interview." And I said, "No, I'm not doing the mortgage business, man. I got to find something else." And I graduated now, FY.
Yeah.
So I was out of college, right, and trying to figure out what I was going to do. And so anyway, he just kept on me. He's like, my buddy loves it. I'm telling you, it's different. So I went. And I think what got me was they put me through 6 interviews. Yeah. So I interviewed like manager 1 and then manager 2. And then they flew out regional manager from Texas. And then there's another guy. And then it ended with Jack Teagarden, who's, like the godfather of VIP Mortgage, right?
Yep.
So that told me what I needed to know. This was a real company. And these are real guys. Right. And they were about family. And I remember the first lunch I had, kind of similar to your story. They asked me questions about my parents and my family. And I was like, okay, these guys, I like these guys, right?
Actually, so touch on that just for one quick second, too, because your dad's, what is he, a cardiologist?
Correct.
Sorry, so did you ever think you were going to go that direction?
Never. I never thought medicine once.
Not
never
one
once.
time. You're like, no.
Nope.
And he never said, hey, I want you to be a doctor?
Never.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, so you went and then you're interviewing with Keith, and obviously you went through the gamut and that stuff. And it is true because nowadays loan officers move a lot. Realtors move a lot. Title people can move a lot. I think if you want to get a job somewhere and you're a decent producer, you're pretty much going to go. If you go into like other spaces, like I was in the medical field for a long time, pharmaceuticals and medical devices, I mean, they put you through a gauntlet of interviews, and that's how they think that it's a serious place, right? But that's super corporate America, right? And but I don't know. I mean, I got to the point where obviously I didn't want corporate America anymore. It was like the last thing on earth I wanted to do. I wanted to do something more entrepreneurial, and that's what you can do in this space, in the realtor space, real estate space, I guess. So so after you took that job at Waterfield, I mean, you basically were there till it.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, man. It was the perfect combo, and I was what, 22? I was 22 when I took this job, so I still didn't know anything about anything, right?
Right.
And
you're 40 now, by the way.
Yeah, it just goes fast. And so but I could sense, like I told you, the family part, but it was just the right amount of corporate, right? Because I came from these jobs where I felt like there was no backbone, there was no structure. Like the management was weird, and I'm like, who's running this thing?
Right.
So Waterfield was the perfect amount of corporate without being too corporate. Not that I necessarily knew what that was at that time. And then the family atmosphere. Keith, as you know, I mean, one of the greatest guys you will ever meet.
Right.
So I was super, super fortunate to this day. So grateful that I got to go under his wing. So anyway, we're at Waterfield for a few years. We're by happen chance, the branch I work at is I believe it was the biggest producing branch in the company for Waterfield, which was family owned and based out of Indiana. So Midwest company, and Keith was like the hot shot, right? And then I forget what year it was, but a few years later, then Waterfield got acquired. They sold to American Home Mortgage. And I mean, Dick Waterfield, he either saw the writing on the wall or was the luckiest guy ever, because he sold right about a year or so before everything went to you know what. So American Home takes us over. To give you a magnitude of the size of company, we went from a 300 loan officer company to a 3,000 loan officer company. So huge, publicly traded on the NASDAQ. I think they were a $70 billion operation. And so big company, all good, no issues with the transition. And then now we fast forward, I think it was 18 months, July of 2007, and this I will never forget. I come to work on a Monday, and we are just, everything's great, right? Pipelines are big. We got builder business. We've got just the world.
You guys had billions of dollars in supposed to be funded, right?
We had a lot. Yeah, it was a company. Yeah. So I'll give you that stat. So what happened was, so that Monday I come in, I get an email from corporate. Everybody gets it, right? It says temporarily not funding loans. So you just figure out the IT guys will be fixing that any second, right? Not even really knowing what's going on. Next day, still not funding loans. So a few more days go by, right? Basically by the end of the week, Keith and management had kind of come to us and said, hey guys, because we're low men on the totem pole, right, at a company like this. Writing's on the wall, they're going under, right? Yeah. Right? They've run out of capacity and they're going to go under. So the stat I was going to give you is, from what I was told, that organization missed almost $1 billion in fundings in that small time frame. People that had signed loan docs were ready to fund on their new homes, and the money never came. So
what year was that?
That was July of 2007.
07.
So that was, they were one of the first big boys to go down.
Yeah.
So I lived through that, and it was scary. But at that moment, I wasn't scared because Keith was such a great big brother and mentor to me and he kept his cool, that I'm like, hey, if he's cool, I'm cool, right? Yeah. It's like the herd mentality, right? And then, I'm like, what are we going to do? He's like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. Let's just worry about placing these loans and getting these people in their homes. So we did that. And then, I don't really remember, maybe it was a week or so, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and I'm pacing in my backyard, and I'm like, okay, man, what's the next steps? What are we going to do? And I'll never forget, he goes, I don't know. And I literally started to get a little choked up. I could sense he was getting choked up on the phone, and that made it even more, right? It's even worse.
Sympathetic criers.
Yeah, exactly. and I thought, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I think he's like, just hang tight, just sit tight for me. And then I think maybe it was a few days later, I don't remember, I get another phone call from him. He says, hey, meet me at the old office. So I go, okay, I got nothing else to do.
Was there like wires hanging from the ceiling?
Oh, it was literally it was like third world country in there. It was like printers were stolen and like, I mean, literally it was like that. It was out of a movie. Wow. And this is an office in Scottsdale. I mean, it's just like totally ransacked. And so I go in, and they're actually sitting in my old office, like the office I used to work in. And it's Keith's dad, Jack, and Jay Barber, who I'd never really met before. And Keith goes, hey, this is my best friend, Jay.
So Jay and Keith are the principal owners here at VIP.
Correct.
Right. And like best friends since 5th grade.
Yeah, and it's an amazing story. And I remember walking in, Jack Teagarden looks at me, and it's like, I think it's like a Saturday morning. Yeah. And he's got a huge bag of sausage McMuffins. And there's like 20 in there. And he's like, you want a sausage McMuffin, Stewie? And I'm like, yeah, sure. No idea what's going on. And then Keith introduces me to Jay. I think Jay's got a visor on, right? Like, you can see it, right? And I'm like, this guy seems like a cool guy. And Keith's like, we're going to start a mortgage company. Come with us. And
Jay had been in the space. This is just brief touch on Jay for a second, because I think it's important to the story. Jay was in the Marine Corps. It's like Keith went on to college after high school. Jay went into the Marine Corps, served in Desert Storm. When he came back, Jack got him a job as the front office person.
He was the receptionist.
At Waterfield, right?
Yeah, and remember, before that, Jack had Keith and Jay running like loan docs as 16-year-olds like all around town.
Right, right. Because Jack was a national sales manager at Waterfield in like the 80s, right? So, but Jay was he was a branch manager at Fairway, wasn't he?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
So basically, when you guys all met, Jay had been in the business too, but they just decided it was time to work together, and it was not a time to start a mortgage company. Obviously, it was like, what are you doing? So did anybody else from Waterfield come at that time too, like Bronner?
We had a little
Peacock.
We had like a handful crew. Okay. Yeah, Peacock, the Bronners, Brian Ladd, now VIP's head of IT.
Yep.
I think he was a processor. So that was So yeah, there was a little crew of us that all went. So I think on day one, I'm guessing, I think we had like 15-ish employees, right?
Okay.
And that was August of 2007. That's when the company started. And our very first office was a loft at the Brickyard on Mill Avenue that Jay owned.
That's a great spot.
It was awesome. But we were in this residential loft, right? And it's like I can touch the IT/processor/underwriter, same person. It's like this. There's wires everywhere. We're trying to do loans. Jay's trying to set warehouse lines up. I mean, it was, looking back, it's pretty special. I mean, now considering VIP's got 400 plus employees, and it's been a crazy journey.
Right. So when we were I started January 7th of 2013 with VIP Mortgage, at the Portales building, which was also a building that we got for like nothing, right on Chaparral and Scottsdale Road.
Jay would always joke that we rented the Volvo, or excuse me, we rented the Bentley for the Volvo price.
Yeah. It was views of Camelback Mountain. It was amazing. So that's so when I started there, you watched me just flail around. Well, in my defense, I'm gonna throw this out there. So I take the job. I decided to leave. I was with Procter & Gamble at that time, and I decided to leave that world to do my own thing, right? And which I thought was going to be my own thing. But nobody at VIP, everybody was so seasoned, like had been in the business since that's like all they'd ever done. Nobody was out like getting new relationships. Right. So I had like, no direction, so to speak, for what I wanted to do. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like literally there was nobody was like out doing things. So I was trying to figure it all out for myself and making massive amounts of mistakes, and I thought going to the Paradise Valley home tour was going to get me deals, but I realized that nobody gets houses in that area with a loan. It's like all cash paid people. Like, but I did that for 2 years. Just every single thing, and I was just like flailing around trying to build my own teams. As I kind of knew every time Jay would walk by me, because Jay put me in QC. Remember, I was in a cubicle in QC, and it was like I was dying because I was sitting next to like a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, and they were talking about, they're literally right out of high school, and I was 38. I would wear like a suit to work and sit in this cubicle, and I was by far the worst one at the job too. Like it was just, and Steven Metz would be like, there's 7 mistakes on this one. If you can do 6 in a row, I'll let you move forward. Finally, I just said to Jay, like he'd walk by me, I would look at him, I just go, I'm quitting. And he'd be like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. He's like, nope. And he'd walk away. I was like, ah. So when I finally got out of there, Jay said, all right, you can start doing your own thing. It's when I kind of was just like lost, right? Trying to figure it out. Obviously, there's people to help, but everybody's busy doing their own thing. And you were down the hall, and obviously we knew each other, but we weren't like homies, so to speak. Right. But you were the top guy in the office in Maricopa County for VIP Mortgage. And so you were kind of seeing me from afar flailing, and I could hear you from afar crying about how frustrated you were.
I thought I was alone at night at the office. Yeah. Nobody was there.
I just remember you're just like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. This is like killing me. If I have to take another loan application, yada, yada, yada. So just to kind of get into the point, like where you and I decided to start working together, I remember I was just getting deals from Oleg and Tucker at the brokery, and they were such good friends.
Two of the best humans on the planet.
Yeah, and they were very patient with me because I had people trying, I knew that I just wanted to be out getting the business, being the business development sort of guy, and bringing them in and having somebody on the inside kind of doing the actual deal from contract to close, basically for me. And there's there's different models that people can have, obviously, and that was the kind of the model that I knew I needed. But I had just like gotten to the point where I came into this business and I was thinking like, all right, I don't need to make any money really, like because I'm going to kill it, because I used to just call in neurosurgeons and stuff, and before they were scrubbing in to go save somebody's life. And I shouldn't have a problem getting business from referral partners, realtors or financial advisors or whatever. Well, I found out quickly that it was hard, really hard, because they're getting attacked from every angle as well. You really don't know how much business this person's doing, which market you really should be going to, because again, I didn't feel like I had that sort of direction because there wasn't really anybody doing what I was doing here. And so I was running out of money, and I walked by your office, and I came into your office, and because I just got a call from my kids' school, so they're going to private school, and they were there on a scholarship because we knew the superintendent. Like, we actually left public school and went to that school because they asked us to. And, well, he left and didn't tell anybody. So the new principal, so to speak, or superintendent calls me and says, hey, your kids are in the waiting room. They can't go to school today, right? And I'm like broke, dude. And I was like, well, wait a second. It's like $1,000 a month. And I went in, and obviously you and I had talked plenty at this point just about, because you were helping me with deals. And I just sat there, and I remember just like, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. Like, I have to leave and go pick up my kids. It was so embarrassing, right? My kids are like, what's going on? And I'm having to call, my ex-wife. It's like, she's like, what? So then Jay walked in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm basically telling you both the story, and I'm basically breaking down like, dude, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't afford, I literally couldn't, I don't think I had $1,000. Like, literally, I'd wasted every penny that I had at that point, trying to build the business, and I'd gone on through other stuff, obviously, but, like, you were like, hey, dude, what do you need? Like, you're like, do you need money? Like, here, I'll give you money. Like, what do you want? Whatever you need. It was nothing about us even partnering, right? It was just like, what do you need? And then Jay comes in, and Jay's like, Jay walked over to his desk, and can I tell this thing? Is this okay? Jay came over, and he's just like, dude, how much money do you need? And he just wrote me basically a check out of his own checking account, which I've paid him back, obviously, since then. But which to me was just like, dude, I didn't. You guys were somewhat new friends to me, right? Really, but both of you were like, here's money. Like, it wasn't like, here's the company money. It wasn't like, here's.
There wasn't strings attached.
It was like literally, it said, his name on his Wells Fargo account, and he just like gave me a check, and it was a good amount of money. And he's like, will this help you get through where you need to be, because you're gonna make it. He's like, dude, you're gonna do it. Like, this is what happens. Everybody quits too soon, and it's harder than people think. But once it clicks, it rolls and it rolls and rolls fast.
Right.
And that was kind of when you just, probably the next week, you're like, hey, man, let's go to lunch, right? And we went to, where did we go?
Tap House.
Yeah, Tap House.
I forgot it last time.
Tap House at over by Houston's. Yeah.
Or not Guinea. Yeah, over by Houston's. Hilton Village.
Yeah, there you go, Hilton Village. Yep. So, yeah, you asked me to go meet for lunch, and then you can kind of
Well, yeah, and so let's back up a little bit, because there's a couple points here that I think are important. I think first is, I'm going to defend you for a second, since this recording is going to be out in the universe forever. You were not totally flailing, right? There were parts of your business that were flailing because you didn't have the support that you needed, but you were out there kicking ass, right? I don't know if are we allowed to say that on the radio. I mean, this is Real Talk with Ryan Madrid. We're going to get real. And you were out there, like you said, you were hitting the streets, you were making things happen, you were networking, you were building relationships, and I saw that from afar, like you said. Like I had a front row to probably one of the coolest movies ever, and I'm sitting there watching you, and I'm like, okay, this guy's got something, man. There's something super special about this Ryan Madrid. But I'm just going to hang tight. I'm going to let him do his thing. And frankly, I didn't want to, you were doing your thing. I wasn't going to get in your way, right? You're going to go follow whatever breadcrumbs you were going to follow, right? I wasn't going to just stop you. I was going to let you, try it for yourself. And so you were doing a great job. And then, but like you said, you switched around different teams, and no one could give you the back end support you needed. And I think bigger than that, as you and I both know, working with your friends is everything, right? And you and me are friends way before business, all day long, right?
Right.
And so you were doing a good job. And I will say one more thing. I remember vividly the time when you came in my office about the tuition deal. And I don't know what made me just think of this, but I remember you coming in, and because remember, right outside my office was all the girls, right? The whole team was right there.
Yeah.
And I remember you came in, and you were so flustered by this situation, because obviously this was a situation you were not used to, right? You were a guy that always made things happen. The stars always aligned, and it happened for Ryan Madrid. But this one moment it didn't, and it was like, whoa. And you came in and you start telling me all this, and I remember stopping you because my door was wide open. You didn't even, like, if your head would have been clear, you would have shut the door behind you and started vomiting on me, right? Like, you just came in and started, and I was like, hold, dude. And I remember getting up, and I shut the door because I'm like, no one else needs to hear this. This is super private, right? Anyway, but yeah, and then Jay came in, but I think what's cool about that story is that we, like you said, we weren't partners yet.
Yeah.
We weren't. And like you said, to answer your question, we finally were like, okay, let's go to lunch, because I knew on my end there was kind of two options for you. And I know you and I talk about this all the time. But I remember sitting down at the tap house, and you ordered your turkey burger because you think it slims you down. And
it does.
Okay, whatever you say. Ground beef's better. And so we sit down, and I don't even think we made it more than 10 minutes into that lunch. And I remember you're like, okay, dude, what's up? Like, what do you think we should do? And we both knew where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And I said, you got two options, man. And I was nervous. I was nervous to have this lunch with you because I looked up to you in a lot of ways. I'm like, this guy's a bad A, you know what? Like this dude is legit. Like I don't want to blow this opportunity to build something super special with this guy. So we sit down, and I'm like, look, man, option A, you learn the business inside and out. You can be the loan surgeon, the guy that you knew you couldn't be because you didn't have the seasoned experience, like you were saying, right? Because it takes time.
Yeah.
And I said, but that option is 2 years on my hip. You're going to sit in my office for 2 years. You're going to listen to every phone call. Like, I will get you there, but you've got to be willing to do that. Option B is you could just not do that and just focus on what you already are good at and what you like to do, because that's where it's going to be fun. And all the things that you've had problems with, I will handle all of that for you. So basically, you go kill the pig, I'll make the best bacon you've ever tasted, right?
Right.
And that was kind of our joke. And I remember I didn't even barely finish that second option, and I remember you kind of popped up, and you're like, that one.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And then, gosh, man.
But was Bree already working with us at that time, or did she come in after? I can't remember.
That's a great question.
I feel like she came.
So Bree's 6 years right now.
Okay, so I think she was with. Anyways, it was very close in time.
Right.
That because in order for our system that you really wanted to do, because back up even further, right? You were also. Dude, I remember you telling me, dude, I might just take a year off and go figure out what I want to do,
right?
Because I can't take another loan app sitting in here. And those times it was not easy. It wasn't like you were doing. I remember you were doing like 15 deals. I mean, that wasn't like that was a big month.
Yeah, like I think a big month was like 20 at that time, right?
Right, and I mean. So it wasn't people knocking out hundreds of deals a month like they are now, but obviously now it's different. But we've grown astronomically for multiple different reasons. And obviously having the team and the system and process and stuff. And I think Bohm helped a little bit through that process. John Bohm with Driven Coaching was helping us with both of us separately. 100%. And he kind of had that vision. I think Jay helped find Bree, which is... She's like our partner, right? The inside, she is like the head of the inside loan officer. But, she took a lot of she gave you more bandwidth, basically. Right. Basically, took a lot off your plate so you can do, just so you weren't so stressed out, you weren't working so much, staying in, because you have obviously a wife, and you at that point you had Colton.
I think that's it. Just
a
little baby.
And so you're just like just starting a family, and. You can't get when you're leaving the office at 7:00. You got a brand new kid, and you want to be a dad, right? And it's like frustrating and it's tough, and you've been successful, and so let's just talk a little bit then again about, I guess, like how the system sort of like progressed, because I mean you had to build it. That's what you always see. You use the word factory, right? But it's true, right? So the thing that when people ask me about us. Why we're successful, I think it's the systems, the processes, right? The communication's amazing, but nobody in the business does it better than we do. There's people that do it as good, but it would be hard to say that there's anybody that does it better, right? From the actual process of us getting a call, me sending over a number, right. Or getting a contract, that factory is like a well-oiled machine, but it changes at times, and we figure things are better, and or with something we don't want anymore. But you built it, Like you did it yourself, right? Over time. I mean, from everything, from email templates to the exact verbiage that you need to use to, get off the phone and you have 10 minutes to send this email and then this one follows, right? I mean, so how did someone help you with that? Did John help you with that? Or like I've never asked this question, by the way.
Look at us learning new things.
I really haven't. I don't know like what you just decided to go. That sounds boring, but you did it.
I'm surprised are you sure you want to hear this?
Make it quick, please.
Oh gosh. So John helped me with John and Jay, right?
Yeah.
We all know Jay's a great visionary. He's
Yeah.
a master chess player, right?
Right.
Jay always knew that, hey man, if you're going to grow, you got to get out of it. There's no way you can just live in it all day. You won't make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he knew that and helped kind of through that. But that was where John was real pivotal too, right? And John will tell you the first time I met with him, and by the way, I was against coaching, right? I was that guy. I'm like, really? I'm going to hire a coach?
Right.
Come on. Like,
And you were also against hiring an inside loan officer.
yeah, everything. I was against everything else that I did over the last 8 years.
Yeah.
And so I met with him. I remember at Panera, or it was Paradise then, right? And he's like, so what's up? And I'm like, dude, I didn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just done, man. I'm like, so you probably can't help me. Like, I was so. Anyway, he'll tell the story today that, like, man, when I sat down with you, you were a dead man walking. Like, you looked like a zombie. Like, you were done, right? And I told him, I go, if I do one more loan application, I'm just not going to make it, man. Like, I can't handle this anymore. It's too much pressure. Because as you know, the toughest thing about our business is the sense of urgency. Everybody wants everything 5 minutes ago. But that's also the fun part about it, because it's how do we manage the chaos? It's very hard to perfect. But if we could build systems and like you say, a factory around managing all that chaos, we might be able to build something pretty special. So I remember at one point, and this was way before you, way before Bree. This is when Amber was just the first kind of hire, right? And I thought, there's got to be a better communication system for this business. There has to be, because I went out and I'm like, I'm going to go interview a couple of my realtors and see like what frustrates them the most about this business. And every single answer I was given, I could relate to communication in some way, shape, or form. So I'm like, okay, we need to build a better communication platform. So I actually remember we just bought in our house, Rach and I, just gotten married. And I remember I'm like, I have to make time for this.
Rachel, by the way, is one of your best friends from high school too, which is kind of a cool story.
Yeah, we've known each other a long time. And she is my best friend. She's amazing. So I remember sitting in the backyard. I'm like, babe, I need just to don't bug me. And I sat in my backyard under the gazebo, and I literally took my computer out there and I just started typing it step by step. I'm like, as soon as a lead comes in, or Oleg sends a name, what happens next? Then what happens after that? Then what happens after that? And just went through. And I think the very first system was like 56 points, right? Yep. And then it grew. So to answer your question, I did build that on my own. And then over the years, we've just used that blueprint to, move into different steps and points. And as the business changes and how our business changes, we just use that to continue building on it, essentially. So
right.
And it's kind of fun to look back on, because this was before like everyone had the automated emails, and anyone that on the team will tell you, I hate the automation, right? Because I don't like anything that looks unauthentic, and I don't like anything that's insincere. And I felt like we had to build a system where the emails came from us. We typed them, so it makes you feel good going through the process.
And you're not a huge adapter to. Well, first of all, it takes you a long time to actually like decide to do something, because you overanalyze everything.
For sure.
So there are automated systems that you can use that you don't have to that you can put your own verbiage in and do it, but you still like the system that we have, and people will go argue on that all day long, because we do have an incredible CRM system that we spent a lot of money on, but we were the first team to really start using.
Right.
And we built out that Steve Meister brought over, and his brother Jeff is here, and Steve's out doing more of that. Like, I mean, he left the mortgage business to go start working on what his passion was basically the CRM that he had built. But to this day, we still use your templates. Like the girls, it's done and maybe delivered in a different fashion, but it's still your templates that you created.
we've adopted some automation, but it's still the way we want it to be written and looked and it's us.
Yeah.
People see it and they know it's us.
Right.
So that's Yeah, the authenticity, man, that's everything to me. Like, it just has to be real talk with Ryan Madrid.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's the only way to go about life, as weird as that sounds. And I don't want anyone to ever think that we're not being real with them or, it's unfortunate. Our industry, like a lot, there's just a lot of that, right? There's a lot of just insincerity. And one thing I did want to say that I didn't get to is that whole moment when you came in my office, right? That whole story. I think something that's powerful from that I learned, now that I'm looking back on it, I'm going, oh, you know what was cool about that? Looking at Ryan Madrid from afar, you see this polished, everything's good. He kicks the sheets off in the morning. He's happy, right? He's got it all figured out. And then he comes in your office completely shocked, and this thing is happening that's very stressful, right? That shows you that he's human, right? And he's not just this perfect robot. And I think today what makes us so strong, the systems are great, the factory's great, but what makes us the strongest is the fact that the people around us, I feel, know how much we really care. And we know we've learned through times like that we can't just assume everybody's okay. We got to be checking in, right? And I think a lot of leaders, to check a box, will say, hey, Ryan, how you doing? You good? Everything good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay. And then they move on, they check that box, and they led, right?
Yeah.
But I think we do it in a way, you and I tag team this with the team all the time, right?
Yep.
We'll say, hey, I'll tell you, hey, will you check in with so-and-so? Like, I'm checking in, but I feel like something's there. Like, and we're like, we literally are a family. And as cheesy and cliche as that sounds, we are, and you know it. And it's like that. I think that's what makes us so great.
So getting back to like the team and like when we hired Bree, right? That was the first hire to kind of help you out. And she sat in that little desk right behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were like, I need to make sure this person knows what they're doing, because you held everything close to your chest. Mm-hmm. Even though you did offer everybody the 56-point system as a playbook, and if anybody wants to use it, go for it. And basically nobody's ever done it, right? But Bree had her friend that she had worked with for a long time, Christy. So she was able to bring over somebody that she kind of felt close to. It was kind of in her family already. And so from the hiring process is concerned, I mean, we're very meticulous, and we make sure that we're bringing people on we're going to like. They're going to be able to get along with the family. Amber's been with you forever. Amber was with them, or was with you for she's been with you 8 years?
Yeah, and she was at Waterfield with us back in the day before that. Yeah.
And she's the best at what she does. And we just have gotten lucky somewhat too of getting the quality of people, because Chrissy's unbelievable. And we had a relationship with Liz already because she was our title rep at Lawyers.
Right.
And so we were already working with her. And then we decided that we really wanted her to come over and work with us and kind of do what I was doing, because I was kind of doing other things now. And so that was an amazing relationship because we were already friends with her. And she was already friends with our referral partners. So it was like the easiest kind of seamless process there. And then we brought in Jamie, who I knew from somebody else. And she obviously is great. She's our client coordinator. And then as time went on, I brought a lot of other people to the company, other LOs, but not to our team, right? So to our branch, I should say. So then we brought Kyle over, and then we brought Rachel over. And I mean, the cool thing about having all those people and how well they all get along with, and we're all about respect, right? We got to make sure that we can't bring an LO into, especially the branch or the team, that is going to treat our people badly, right? Which can happen, right? So you get people that get frustrated. Their deals aren't going like the way they should be, and everybody knows this is listening to this right now. I don't care if you're a realtor or an LO. You get frustrated because something stayed in processing too long, or an underwriting too long, or the income wasn't calculated correctly. Tax transcripts. That's an inside joke. But we decided in the busiest time ever, probably in mortgage business, we're like, dude, we need to give these girls a break. Like they're they're working too much,
right?
And we feel bad, but you can't just hire somebody and throw them in the busiest times and train them. It takes a long time. It's not that easy. But so we took them all out to the lake a few weeks ago, rented a couple boats, used Breeze boat, and brought the families, where girlfriends or husbands or whatever. And dude, we just had a day just like hanging, like a long time.
It was fun.
Just perfect weather. And I think like it wasn't like we were there to get to know each other, because we all already know each other, right? So we just all hung out. There was people over here talking, people over here just hanging out in the water, and we just literally threw the anchors down and just chilled for like 6 hours and drank beer and hung out. And when I tell that, just like, someone, hey, what'd you do on last Saturday? Oh, dude, we took our team out to Lake Pleasant. They're like, what? You did? It's like, that's not normal.
Like, you wanted to hang out with them?
Right. But it's not normal, right? It really isn't normal. And
but it is to us.
But it is to us. And I think that's, we got super lucky. It's true. I mean, like here, we deal with a lot of stuff because this business is brutal. Like, I don't care where you work.
It's going to get heated. It's going to get emotional.
Get tough. And, having, at the end of the day, like, especially when we were in Portales, like, I'd be able to walk down. It was, like, Duesenberry and Alan and Patrick and, and having Jay and Keith around. And they're just such good people when you can just kind of roll with your fam. Totally. Most people don't. 99% of people don't work with their friends. I mean,
it's not
you
normal.
work, you go do your job, and then you go home, and you got your reports you got to send in, and you sync your computer to home office, and these are all my trials and tribulations. But yeah, for me, it's just been it's been a really great experience, I think, just coming and working in this world with some struggles, obviously. But we got here at this new office, and it's been killer too. And then able to bring over, like Austin Bates, like he was already my friend, right?
Right.
From EC70. By the way, Stuart Crawford, so he's a nonprofit guy too. Yeah. But just me being an EC with Ross as well. And having his old central branch come over, another good friend of mine, and which are your good friends too, right? And then having the whole Tempe branch with Kent and Mike and Jay Ray and all those guys. We just keep adding to the coolness of like going, man, like we have such a good group of people to just roll with, really, right? In a really brutal business. I mean, it can be tough. The business, it's tough. Every 100%. Day. And
I think that the coolness, it's not just because they're cool. That's true too. But they're cool because the way they treat people and take care of people, right? I mean, That's what I think. And I know, again, it sounds like cliche, like that's the culture.
They care.
Take care of people. But they do. And I know that in our journey, I didn't realize, I had my head in the sand. I thought this was normal. And then we bring over a Bree or a Christy and then have them tell you their stories about their old world.
Yeah.
And you realize that not everybody leads and manages in a thoughtful, nice way, right? And cares about their people. They just care about make sure you check those boxes, right? Come back tomorrow and check them again, right? So, yeah, it's funny, man. I look at all this too, and I sit there and I go, what's weird about it is it's easy, right? Like if we just care so much about these people, why is that not normal? But I don't know.
Greed. I don't know.
Yeah,
well, people just, I think, I think money is a factor for sure.
Of course.
People aren't willing to give up, and they also can't see the big picture, right? Like, for me, I pay for what I get,
right?
Which in turn allows me to do way more business because I'm not caught in the weeds trying to figure out Encompass and figuring out a self-employed borrower and calculating income. I can move fast. Right. I can move fast, but I have to give up for that. So I think a lot of people that we would love to have come on in our little team here don't get, they're like, no, wait, I have to, no, I want all the money and I'll do everything myself, but the life isn't nearly as good.
Well, I was going to say,
work-life balance.
As much as I care about, we care about the consumer's experience and customer service because that's our reputation. That's everything. I'll take a few unhappy customers to make sure that all of us have a quality of life. And like when we did the lake day, right? I remember one of the thoughts was, okay, hold on a minute. The whole cabinet is going to be on the same boat with no service. With no service. What are we going to do about pre-quals? And I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll deal with them on Sunday. And if we miss it, we miss it.
Yeah.
We have got to go have fun. I just don't care. Like you said, big picture, man.
Yeah. Quality of life is huge. And you know, we're all at different, you know, Chrissy's got young kids. You have young kids. I mean, you have 3 now. And Bree's got, you know, her kids are older, but her daughter, shoot, we've left Taylor out.
Yeah.
So now Bree's daughter's working with us as well, which is another cool thing. And Liz has got young kids. And, so for me, quality of life, right? It's people always, it's like I get more crap than anybody. They're like, what are you doing? Well, I was like, well, bringing in business that I don't actually have to do because I have people that are better than me and all you people asking the questions, in my opinion, to doing it, right? So we hire great people to do it's the greatest and best use, right?
Right.
That wasn't sitting behind the desk and doing that. Not that it's yours either, but we give each other the opportunity to go travel, to go do stuff, right? Life's too short. We can't sit around and, you know, stress. And I do worry about people around here sometimes, right? You're like, dude, you've got to relax.
Like unplug your computer.
Unplug your computer, unplug your phone. It's going to be okay. You don't, you know, you're doing all right. So, I guess to wrap it up, anything going on that you want to talk about? You just got off the ride. I'm going to talk about that just for 1 second because I didn't get to go, which sucked. But coronavirus ruined that for, if you haven't heard of the Charo ride, you're missing out. But we do get to do the Holiday Classic with EC70, so we'll see what happens. Talking stick. So, but yeah, I guess thanks Trish, thanks Trey, thanks VIP Mortgage. We are going to have sponsors. I think the goal moving forward with everybody that comes on, we're going to talk a little bit about their business, obviously. But today, since you are the first guest and we both work at the same company, and we have the support of VIP Mortgage, it's very important to talk about the fact that we are the Crawford team, but this is a podcast for VIP, and we're going to have LOs from VIP on here as well, talking about their journeys, even people that work here in other departments that I think they have cool stories moving forward. So
I'm gonna cut Real Talk with Ryan Madrid off for a second and say 2 last things to wrap it up before you wrap it up.
All right.
And then I try to re-wrap it up on you, then you wrap it up. Number 1, thank you for having me on. I love you, dude. And I'm honored to be a guest on this. You have a lot of great friends, and I don't take it lightly, so thanks, man. And I can promise you this, that we're just getting started. I promise you that. We have not even begun this journey. Number 2, one of the coolest things I ever heard about Ryan Madrid, I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'll leave the person nameless, but we went to have drinks with a realtor at the Henry. This was probably 6 months ago-ish, maybe. And it was just the 3 of us, and you had to leave early. And you left, and the 2 of us sat there. And we were talking about you. And he looks at me, and he goes, you know what I love about Madrid? I'm like, what? He's like, he's just one of these guys that when you're with him, you feel like you're $1 million. And I was like, that's a great way to explain Ryan Madrid. So, did I ever tell you that?
No.
Yeah, that's a good one. So
that is a good one. Whoever that was, thanks. But, you know, there's a deep story right behind that we'll get into one day. I think I actually had a good idea that I was going to talk to. I think one day I'm going to have my sister interview me on this podcast because the story, like you said, like getting back to the rough shell or the people that I don't think I used to have, maybe that people thought I did. You know, I don't have that. I'm just at all, and I think you know that. But there's a deep story behind that you know, and that obviously you know. So I think it'd be good to people to kind of understand. As I feel even around here sometimes, it's like, you know, I'm like laser. I come in, I'm out, I turn the corner. You know, people are like, "What's up? Who's this guy?" You know, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. You know, I'm busy. I'm doing my thing, but that makes me feel good because that's the way I do feel like try to be that way with everybody, but sometimes I'm not perfect. I still go back to my old ways sometimes. So, anyways, thanks Trish, thanks Trey, thanks Jay, Keith, Jack, Papa Jack, everybody here at VIP Mortgage. Appreciate everybody, and thanks Stu. Love you, buddy.
You got it, buddy.
And we're out.
See ya.
So, if you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Instagram, we are at Real Talk with Ryan Madrid. Our website is realtalkwithryanmadrid.com. And we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So please find us at one of those locations and like and subscribe. Thank you.